Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. La'asok b'divrei Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah. La'asok b'divrei Torah, la'asok b'divrei Torah. Okay, Tu B'Shvat Seder, Sunday night. Be lots of fun. For a moment before we start, that's the Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey vertically. Okay? And we put the Yud like that because it's two-dimensional. But in fact, if this is the Hey and a Vav and a Hey, the Yud is not going like this, it's actually going like this.
Oh.
You just can't draw that in a two-dimensional drawing. Does that make sense to everyone? Mm-hmm. There's a reason I'm saying that right now. Okay? So when we talk about the kutz of the Yud, the tip of the Yud, it's not on one side or the other. It's right in the center up here. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. That's important to recognize before we go on. So arguably the most visible sign of a Jew is head covering. It's a yarmulke, right? Or a kango hat, or a ball cap. It's a head covering. Mm-hmm. Or traditionally, a turban. That's really the most obvious sign of an observant Jew, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay? Think about it. Why? What do we do it for? First of all, it's not halachic. I mean, it is because it's rabbinic. It's not from Torah. I don't need to wear a ball cap according to Torah. I don't need to wear head covering according to Torah. It's recommended to, it's inspired to, but you don't need to. Second of all, any head covering works. So are you a more observant Jew because you're wearing a shtreimel, you know, the hat with the beaver fur and stuff, the big black hat? Does that make you more Jewish? Are you observing the commandment better?
No.
No, you're not. Okay. And so when we talk about, when people say, oh, you know, you go to a Chabad person, why are you wearing that ridiculous black hat that is not like a fedora from Blacklist? I mean, you know, it's a ridiculous, you know, why are you wearing a shtreimel? And his answer is, well, that's traditional Jewish garb. That's not true. That is a point blank fallacy. That is the garb that the upper middle class wore in Eastern Europe from the 16th through early 20th century. It is not our traditional clothing. Wearing a black trench coat or a black coat is not our traditional clothing in any way, shape, or form. Okay? I'm sorry that it disturbs people, but it's not. If you really say traditional clothing, well, let's go back 2,000 years. It's a white kaftan and a white turban.
Desert clothing.
That's right. It's not a black Eastern European. It's silly. But we are to keep our head covered. Why? Okay. And is it only for men? The answer is no, it's not just for men.
When I was little, I remember the women all wore hats.
They wore hats or they wore veils, or and there's reasons. And so I thought that it would be worth taking some time and talking about why we wear a yarmulke, also called a kippah. Yarmulke comes from the word yira malka, to be in awe of the king or queen, to be in awe of God. This is literally yarmulke means. Also called a kippah, a covering. And why do we do it, and what is it about? Because you see an observant Jew, they're wearing a head covering, aren't they? Mm-hmm. Why? But I want you to know, first of all, it's not about, you know, wearing 19th century clothing. Okay, that's just not reality. Someone wants to wear it, go ahead and wear it, but don't tell me it's traditional Jewish clothing, because it's not. So let's go around and start reading from the first page. The first piece is from the Talmud, Shabbat 156b. See, I was good. I even did a handout, and Orlando fixed the typos and printed it out.
And from that which transpired to Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, as well as it can be derived that there is no constellation for the Jewish people. As Chaldean
So
astrologers,
this is a dialogue in this page, and it goes into astrology and Jewish astrology, and yet that Jews are not. We don't have to deal with astrology. We can. It can affect us, but we don't have to let it. Okay?
We answer to God.
Because we answer to God. Exactly. Because we deal straight with the boss, not through an agent.
as Chaldean astrologers told Rav Nachman bar Yitzhak's mother, your son will be a thief.
So they're saying his soul is already inclined to thievery. Okay?
She did not allow him to uncover his head. She said to her son, cover your head so that the fear of heaven
That should be
upon
actually,
you.
instead of fear, awe of heaven is a better. Yirat
So
Yirat
that the awe
Hashemayim.
of heaven will be upon you, and pray for divine mercy. He did not know why she said this to him. One day he was sitting and studying beneath a palm tree that did not belong to him, and the cloak fell off his head. He lifted his eyes and saw the palm tree. He was overcome by impulse, and he climbed up and detached a bunch of dates with his teeth.
So he stole dates because his head covering was gone. There is a connection. And one of the things to understand is, the Yud Hey Vav Hey, right? So here's the body, right? The Hey, the Vav, the Hey, and the Yud is coming up here. What the head covering is covering is that Kutz of the Yud, the place where we are one of the entry places of God's Shefa, God's flow into us. It's actually protecting that. So it's a very sensitive place. It's very sensitive. It's a spiritually sensitive place. No one would go out in public, hiking or whatever else, having their nether regions exposed, would they? Right?
Most would.
Correct. Most because it's sensitive and it could get hurt, right? So we put on clothing. A baseball player knows that he doesn't just need clothing because it's sensitive. He needs a cup, right? Why would we, if we're protecting that part of our body physically, why would we not spiritually protect the sensitive part here? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Different way of looking at it?
Or looking at it the opposite way. You're covering your head, you're blocking what's coming down.
That's why you don't wear black.
Okay. Other colors are.
So you will often see people in black yarmulkes. Again, that's comes from Eastern European influence,
Okay.
that we are in mourning about the temple. But do you have a black and a non-black yarmulke?
It's okay. I know the difference. It's okay.
I mean,
I think you've done it before.
there's a difference. You have a difference in energy. Literally, wearing black shuts out that energy. Other colors do not, and that's why our traditional. Thank you. So, perfect. A black one. Who's the white one from? Whose marriage is this? Astrid Joe. I didn't do this wedding. I don't think. No, it says it was at the Kotel in Jerusalem. I definitely did not do that wedding. And Sweden. I don't know who that is. I didn't do that one either. Okay. Who wants to be a guinea pig?
Okay.
Okay, come be a guinea pig. So watch something. We'll stand here. We'll just test your face, man. You're wearing black. Actually, I don't want you because you're wearing black. Okay, correct. Nothing personal, but you're already wearing black. Okay. So we'll put this on your head first. Okay.
Okay.
Put on your arm. Put whichever arm. One arm. Okay. Hold it so I can't push it. Hold it strong. Okay. Hold it strong.
You pushed a lot harder.
Hold it strong. Let me just do another finger. Hold strong. Stronger, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay, you're not believing me. You think of, okay, hold your fingers like this.
Well, you wouldn't lie to me.
No, like this, pinky and thumb. Don't let me pull them away. Okay? Hold strong.
Oh my goodness.
Hold strong. Stronger, aren't you?
Yeah.
There's your answer.
Okay.
Okay?
Wow.
You have never seen me in a black yarmulke.
No.
You have never seen me in a black yarmulke.
Yeah.
Okay? In fact, other than black tie weddings, you've never seen me in a black suit.
Always navy blue.
Blues. Once in a while, gray, but pretty much all navy blues, yeah. So there's your part of your answer.
Thank you.
So, and again, the people who emulate on this are, people think the observant Jews, they think Chabad. That's not the people to think of. Think Breslov Hasidim. Breslovers, who are based on Rabbi Nachman, only wear white. If you go to a Breslov shul, everyone's in white. There's a reason that throughout the world, the clothing of the people in prayer, whether it's the yogis or whatever, is white. Okay, you don't want to. Why shut everything out? So you can say you're mourning from the temple. I'm not mourning from the temple. Temple had not been destroyed. We would not be here as diaspora Jews, and Jews would have been killed 1,500 years ago. We would have been gone. So, yes, I'm sad the temple is gone, but that's not. We don't. Why wear black? That doesn't make sense. You don't wear a black tallis, do you? If someone wore a black tallis, you'd say they're nuts. A lot of people wear black stripes. Again, to say it's mourning. So it is where we connect. And since it's a connection point, in this case, the rabbi, his soul was inspired to, was ordained. His soul had a yearning to steal, to take, to be whatever, but this kept it clean. It was a nice, clean filter. It's going like this, but I'm not wearing it. I'm wearing my. What's that? Okay, please continue reading. Sure.
With one's head uncovered.
And this is from Mishnah Berurah. Go on.
And certainly it's forbidden to make a blessing. And the same applies to learning Torah with an uncovered head. And for this, making a blessing or learning Torah, it doesn't help to cover the head with one's hand, because the hand and the head are part of the same body, and the body cannot cover itself. And there are those who rule leniently regarding this in an extenuating circumstance. For example, at night, when one wants to drink and doesn't want to have a hat covering on his head, it's enough for him to cover his head with his hand.
So it is when you're studying Torah, you wear a blessing, your head should be covered. Okay. So but many Israelis, as an example, don't cover their heads. They're not wearing yarmulkes, right? So have you ever seen this? He was really about to say a blessing. Have you ever seen this? You see,
Yeah.
they literally put a napkin or a piece of paper over their head.
Yes.
When I was a child, I may have told you this. When I was a child, I didn't wear yarmulkes, but when my dad would say bracha over the motzi before every meal, my dad would go like this. Okay. I'm 7 years old. He sent me to religious school. Little Mikey, what prayers do you know? That's really good, but why do you put your hand over it? That's what my dad does. I thought that's what you're supposed to do. Now, it wasn't until years later I realized that was because he was covering his head. He was covering his head, so when he says the blessing. Okay? So it is ingrained in us. You really see it with Israelis, don't you, Orlando? It's just, he'll put a hand over, a napkin over, a coaster over.
Anything.
They'll go like this. Hold on. And they'll go like this as you're saying the blessing. It's
non-observant Jews the same. The IDF, when they do blessing, they don't have a head covering. Just grab a napkin and put it on the head.
and put whatever.
Yeah.
So interesting. The idea that you need to cover it, and you don't cover with your hand unless it's just a very last minute or casual blessing, typically, because the hand is part of you, and so it doesn't cover itself. So you have this extra thing or a napkin or piece of paper. Please continue.
There are those who say that it is forbidden to mention God's name with an uncovered head.
No, you can't say Hashem or Adonai. Okay, so that's the idea. Go ahead.
And there are those who say that one should object that people should not enter the synagogue with an uncovered head.
This is from Shulchan Aruch, Book of Law, 16th century. That really is a major book of how we practice and law. So there are many who believe that you shouldn't say God's name. Okay, that's sort of pretty much forbidden. But there are also many who say you walk into a synagogue because the Torah is there. Cover your head, and you can't walk in without covering your head. You guys been to temples like that where you walk in, you got to have your head covered. Now you can walk into a place in Jerusalem with the ball cap because your head's covered. It doesn't have to be young if it doesn't. It just has to be a head cover. I mean, I say that in terms of I walked in not knowing they were doing a service at King David's tomb, ultra Orthodox service. We were wearing ball caps. The boys and I were wearing ball caps. They had no problem with that. They thought we were Goyim tourists. Okay, please continue. Oh wait, that's the same quote that we had earlier. So let's go to the last one.
Some poskim say that there is an obligation.
Some judges, some people who understand God.
That an obligation to cover one's head while mentioning God's name and reciting Berachot. Others maintain that while there is no specific obligation for men to cover their heads when mentioning God's name and reciting Berachot, accepted custom requires the covering of one's head throughout the whole day, including when mentioning God's name. Shulchan Aruch cites the stringent opinion as halakha, according to which one is required to cover his head when mentioning God's name and reciting Berachot.
So, where do our laws come from? Our laws come from Torah, primary source. Then from Tanakh, the Bible, so Nevi'im and Ketuvim. Then from Talmud, from Mishnah and Gemara. Then you start getting other commentaries, and then the real big one about establishing the laws based on all these previous ones is Shulchan Aruch. So that's really where it becomes the law that Carol writes that we are to, it's halakha, we are to cover our head at all times. Let's see for 1 second, I just need to know if I need to know that. Okay. All right. So that's going on. That's where our law that you have to keep your head covered. It's only 500-600 years old. That's nothing for us. Although the practice goes back much farther as a piece of law, it only becomes law with Shulchan Aruch. Okay, your turn. Please continue reading.
With regard to the same issue, Rabbi
Yehoshua ben Levi.
Yeshua ben Levi says it's prohibited for a person to walk even 4 cubits without an upright posture, which is considered an arrogant manner, as it is stated. The entire world is full of his glory.
So we should never walk arrogantly. Okay, go on.
One who walks in an arrogant manner indicates a lack of regard for the glory and honor of God that is surrounding him, and thereby chases God from that place, as it were. The Gemara relates, Rav Huna, son of Rav
Yehoshua,
would not walk 4 cubits with an uncovered head.
So you want to have good posture, right? But the idea is you want to psychologically, you want to get big. You want to have good posture, makes you more successful, it makes you breathe better, it makes you better at what you're doing. Okay? Good posture is an important piece, your core being. But this is an arrogant position. But it becomes humble when you remind yourself that you've got a covering over your head and God's above you. So I don't have to walk like this. I can walk like this, but I got something on my head to remind me why. Okay, 4 cubits, roughly 15, 20 feet. Okay?
May I receive, because I never walked 4 cubits with my
This is
head.
from Benish, a great rabbi.
It appears to me that the reason for this prohibition, besides the well-known reason, is that, behold, evil spirits are floating in the world's atmosphere. And there are some of them which draw from the evil portion of the eyes of the primordial snake, and they have poison from that evil eye that injures a person when they gaze at him. Indeed, since they come from the side of the primordial snake, about which it is written, and the snake was cunning.
Okay, so what is this about? This great Rabbi Ben Ish, and he's the Ish Pitzer is saying that he always had his covered because he believes that there are in the ethers bad things. And again, with this image and this part being real sensitive, he doesn't want to let the bad things affect him. Okay, because this is very vulnerable. You don't want to go walking naked through a rose garden and thatches and things like that. So he wants to protect it. And he goes even farther that these things are traceable back to the Nachash. The Nachash being the serpent in the Garden of Eden. What did the Nachash, what did this primordial snake, but Nachash, what did the Nachash do? You know, the Nachash used to walk on 2 feet. But he got jealous because Adam had Eve and Eve had Adam. So in Christian theology, the snake is blamed for all sorts of things. And they say the snake is Satan. That's just not the case with us. Okay, it's just not the case. We don't buy into that at all. The snake is the one who leads us out of Eden. What does the snake do? He puts a poison in Eve's mind. So you've heard the story, right? The snake says, eat the apple. She's tempted. She eats the apple. She says to Adam, eat the apple. God says, what have you done? They say, we ate the apple. He says, out you go from Eden, right? And as a result, the man will have to work and the woman will have to have pain in childbirth. And the snake, you're going to be crawling on the ground. You're not going to be walking on 2 legs anymore. But it's a setup. It's a con game. The whole thing is a setup by God. So God says to Adam, do not eat the fruit. What does Eve say to the snake? What about that tree? She says, we're not allowed to eat it or to touch it. That's what the text literally says. Okay. Where'd she get touch it from? Oh, did God say to Adam, you can't touch it? He said, don't eat it.
I thought he did. That was what I did. Okay. I'll let it go.
No.
I want to hear the rest of the story.
Well, so the story's right here.
I'm sorry.
The rest of the story, Paul Harvey. The rest of the story. No. We'll find the snake. You know, he needs to be found periodically. I mean, poor little guy, right? Well, that's really the issue. Okay. So here we go. Now the serpent was kind of the primordial serpent. We call him the Nachash. Was cunning beyond any beast of the field that Hashem God had made. And he said to the woman, did perhaps God say, you shall not eat of any tree in the garden? The woman said to the serpent, of the fruit of any tree in the garden we may eat. Of the fruit of the tree which is in the center of the garden, God has said, you shall neither eat of it nor touch it, lest you die. That's not what God says. God says, don't eat it. That's all he says, right? He never says, don't touch it. And the next line, the serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die, for God knows that on the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and bad. And the woman perceived that the tree was good for eating and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was desirable as a means to wisdom. And she took of its fruit and ate, and she gave also to her husband with her, and he ate. Then the eyes of both of them were opened. They realized that they were naked, and they sewed together a fig leaf and made themselves aprons. So the Midrash teaches us what happened here is that the cunning serpent says, wait a minute, you were told not to eat it or not, if you touch it, you're going to die, right? She says, if I touch it or eat it, we're going to die. The serpent pushes her. She bumps into the tree and touches the fruit. The serpent says, see, you didn't die. So you might as well eat it. She eats it. Adam eats it knowing it's wrong for shalom bayit. This is how we know peace in the house is so incredibly important, because he literally eats it and gets out of Eden to be at peace with his wife, rather than she's eaten and he hasn't. So what happens? So it's touching it, right? It's not.
I'm sorry, I just heard it differently.
I
like my way better.
But that's what the text says.
I'm thinking, yes.
The text says what it says.
Thank you for correcting.
yeah, I mean, it just, it says what it'd be nice to say whatever, but this is what literally the story is. So now they've got fig leaves, right? And where are they? And they heard the sound of God. They're so what?
I said lots of them because
They're not very big. Yeah, I never figured that one out either. Well, it says fig leaf, so they had one fig leaf to cover both. So Hashem God called out and calls the man. He said, "Where are you, Ayacha?" And the man says, "I heard the sound of you in the garden. I was afraid because I am naked, so I hid." And God said, "And who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree from which I commanded you not to eat?" What should he have said? "Yes, God, I did. I am sorry." What did he say? "The woman who you gave to be with me, she gave it to me the tree, and I ate. It's her fault." Okay? He didn't take responsibility.
I'm mollified. Thank you.
The man said, the man said that, and then so God went to the woman. He said to the woman, "What is it that you have done?" The woman says, "The serpent deceived me and I ate." The problem wasn't just what they did. The problem exactly was that. It was blaming. God said to the serpent, "Because you have done this, cursed you will be beyond all the cattle and beyond the beasts. You'll crawl on the feet, etc." I know many parents, including myself, who try to teach their children. The problem is the problem. What you did wrong is what you did wrong. Lying about it, much worse. Not taking responsibility for it, much worse, right? We all want to teach that to our children. We all know that as adults. Children think that that's not the case necessarily, right? And they need to learn with that. Adam didn't say, "You know what? God, I messed up. I don't know what I can do about it now," because I did have some, but I chose to do what I wanted to be with my wife. The woman didn't say, "I messed up. I could have trusted my husband who said don't eat it or touch it," but he really was being overly protective. He should have been honest and just said don't eat it. But nonetheless, I knew not to eat it. But the serpent pushed me into the tree, and so I figured might as well. Why not? What's the big deal? So what Ben Yehuda is saying here is that all of this stuff in the ethers, all of this crazy evil in the atmosphere, we need to protect ourselves from. One way is by wearing a yarmulke. One way is by keeping kosher. How much better would the world be if all the Jews in the world kept kosher, or all the Jews in the world kept their head covered? Interesting question, isn't it? How much better would they be? So, it's this image of the top of the yud, because it's not like this. I know we have to draw it that way, but that's not. It's right in the middle. It's like this. That top of the yud needs to be protected because it's just too sensitive. It'll pull in things. Okay, makes sense, everyone? That's so we keep it, and not with black, as you can see, but with other colors. Okay, please continue.
In biblical times, covering one's head was a sign of mourning. In the book of 2 Samuel, David and his entourage cover their heads as they flee from David's son Absalom, who was trying to usurp the throne. David, meanwhile, went up the slope of the Mount of Olives, weeping as he went. His head was covered, and he walked barefoot. And all the people who were with him covered their heads and wept as they went up.
So again, we wear it when we're mourning. It is to protect us from getting too lost in the mourning. We worship life, we don't worship death. But it's easy to worship death, isn't it? To get lost in depression. Someone died. I have a surprise, deep Kabbalistic secret. We will all die. May not be for many decades. In case you weren't aware of that, that's a big secret. You can feel free to pass it on if you want. That's just the way it is. All funerals are sad. Not all funerals are tragic. There are tragic ones. God forbid, poo-poo. And it is, again, we want to protect ourselves So those that evil energy in the world doesn't come and prey upon our weakness of mourning. You have nothing to live for anymore. You should just kill yourself. You should just give up on life, right? Because here this is, and it's very vulnerable, and it's already sad. It's like, you don't want to have it being hit that much for. Again, it's a form of protection. Okay, please continue.
The high priest wore a head covering called mitznefet,
Mm-hmm.
whereas the regular priest wore one called mikvah.
Mm-hmm.
Rabbi Moses
Islus.
known as Rima, author of Torah, Allah, and better known for his glosses of the authoritative law code,
The Shulchan Aruch, the one that we started to have the law, he really became very well known for his understandings of it. Go on.
discusses the differences between these head coverings and their symbolic meaning.
So the high priest is wearing one kind of hat, and the other priests are wearing another kind of hat. Just think of it that way. Okay, one's wearing the kind of hat Orlando has, one's wearing the kind of hat I have. Okay.
The belt they would wear corresponds to the theft that the men of the generation of the flood would do. As it is stated, for the earth is filled with violent crime. And it has already been explained above regarding the high priest that these three garments would atone for these three sins. The hats they would wear corresponded to the idolatry
The idolatry that they were worshiping.
that they were worshiping, as it is stated. Then they called out profanely in the name of the Lord.
So wearing these kind of hats, wearing head covering, prevents us from idol worship too, of any sort. Because I'm wearing this because God is above me. God is part of me. Okay, I'm connected. Okay, your turn.
A minor may read in the Torah and translate it, but he may not read the parts of the Shema by reciting, "Who forms life?" Nor may he stand before the reading desk, nor lift up his hands. A poheach, that is one whose knees are exposed or whose clothes are torn, or one whose head is uncovered, may read the parts of the Shema. Others say that if a person's knees are exposed or his clothes are torn, he may read the parts of the Shema, but one may not do so when his head is uncovered, since it is not permitted to utter the divine names with an uncovered head.
So a minor, someone in shorts and torn clothing can get up and read things, and there's an argument, can they read the Shema or not? If you don't have a head covering on, it doesn't matter if you're wearing a suit, you can't read the Shema. What is the Shema? The Shema is God saying to us, listen, you people who wrestle with God, Shema Yisrael. The God, Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, the God that you feel inside you, the God that is outside you, these are one and the same. To have that kind of connection between God being immanent and God being transcendent is a very vulnerable position to really recognize and feel that God is both close and infinite. You have to be very vulnerable to be able to feel both at the same time. It's not so hard to say, oh, that's a beautiful sunset, God's there. That's not so hard to say, I feel love, and so God's inside my heart. But to relate the two together, you have to be vulnerable enough to feel the outside in and the inside out. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. You don't get that vulnerable without your head covered. Even if your knees are revealed, exposed, the bottom, hey. Even if you're wearing torn clothes. Okay, there's discussion, but no one argues. In order to be so vulnerable as to experience God inwardly and outwardly, you have to be vulnerable, and you don't want to be vulnerable without head covering, because you want to protect that very gentle, vulnerable place. Does that go on with the next one?
And this repentance, teshuva, is called life, because from it are the
This is from the Zohar. Okay, go on.
Because from it are the sources of life, Proverbs 4:23, which are Israel's souls. And that is the breath that exits and enters the mouth of people without strain and without effort. The letter Hey of in their being created.
So the hey, see the top hey? That letter. Okay, go on.
And about it is it stated, but upon all that comes out of the mouth of the Lord does man live. And it is over the heads of people. About it is it stated, and he gazes at the depiction of the Lord.
When you get scared, where do you feel it? In Tiferet. Right? You feel it here in your solar plexus. What the energy center of Tiferet. That's one place we connect to the world, but our spirituality connects from up here. Depicted as a halo sometimes. And, this is from Zohar. And everything that comes out of God, that's the initial place we get it. It's that place where God and Adam are touching or not touching in the Sistine Chapel. So we want to experience God's breath, God's experience, the divine experience, cleanly, without filtration, without the filtration of ugly filters. So we cover our head. Now, I would argue that this too is an ugly filter, as a black head covering. Okay, that it cuts out. I would certainly make that argument. It cuts out other things, but certainly got to have something so that you're not getting so. What the other rabbi was talking about? All the gunk in the world that you're protecting it. You don't go into a manufacturing plant without eye goggles on, right? Because the eyes are sensitive. Do you need, if you go into a plastics factory or a wood factory, a place where they make you wear eye goggles, safety goggles, do you need them most of the time? No. Most of the time, the sawdust, the plastic dust isn't coming into your eyes. You have it as protection, so that because it's all around, and if it does swing by your eyes, you don't want to get hurt, right? It doesn't mean that if you're without any head covering that you're going to be consumed by all these negative things. No, it's just that you're more susceptible if one happens to come by and hit you. Does that? So it becomes a lot more than, and it all traces back when we talked about this secret in the beginning, the idea of the Yod He Vav He as being in our body, and that's the key that unlocks all of the locks in Judaism. It's about understanding that image really is the Yud is up like this, okay, and it's vulnerable. And what else does this remind you of? Think, what is that image? The most vulnerable part, and connecting to the rest of the universe is the most vulnerable part at the very top. What else does that remind you of physically? Which is also found as a symbol in Judaism. The soul of the human being is the candle flame of God. It's a line from Proverbs. The soul of the human being is the candle flame of God. And that's what a candle is, isn't it? And you want to make sure that, God forbid, there's this being, right? And here's the soul of each human. You want to be able to let that go in and out, to light the fire, to do whatever. And if you put a filter over it, if you let it get moved by the wind or whatever, it'll blow out, right? So you want to cover it. Wind protection, right? Isn't that what we do at Shabbat under the stars? God's saying, here's I want you to be protected from all the other stuff around. Cover your head. So one way you can cover your head is with a hat. One way you can cover your head is with a toupee, can't you?
Or a wig.
Or a wig. Yeah, that's exactly my point. So I want a woman to cover her head, but I don't want her to, let's make her wear a wig. Pretty stupid, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's pretty stupid. I mean, it's just stupid. Instead, women should be wearing yarmulkes or ball caps or little shtiles, whatever they were called, right? The little scarves, and that's very appropriate. Should they wear a hijab? No. Why? Think. Why should a woman not wear a hijab?
Hijab covering the face.
Covers everything else. It's not protecting this yud, it's suffocating everything. It's putting everything over this so that it suffocates the flame. So hijab is not allowed. But a hat, a ball cap, a yarmulke. Orlando, do any of the classic women's yarmulkes that have been used in American conservative Judaism? Have you guys ever seen the classic women's yarmulkes? So there's two types. Okay, no, that's not the type of one I was thinking of. That's one. They'll put these on, which is ridiculous. It's just silly. But they also make little wire ones
Oh,
These are the
yes.
temple.
that women
Yeah,
will
on
wear.
the holidays, I see.
Yeah, you see people, they're like little wire, they're like lace, only they're metal. This is like to me, like the guy wearing a napkin, exactly. It's ridiculous, but I don't even know why I have these unless it's to use them for coffee.
It was probably from a funeral or some such.
Yeah,
event,
it's just,
because
yeah.
they gave those out at my stepfather's funeral.
Maybe the idea is you sew enough together in their lingerie. I don't know what they are. Okay,
Like the fig leaf.
it's a fig leaf, exactly. It's a transparent fig leaf. So, but the class one is just wire that's together, so it doesn't mess up their hair, and it doesn't. It was used a lot in the late 20th, early 21st centuries. So everyone should cover because it makes it safer. Now, why is it more important for a man to cover his head than a woman?
Well,
Think.
And the Orthodox, don't they all cover their heads?
Often they don't. Some do, some don't. It depends which Orthodox sect. A lot of them are wearing wigs. But why is it more important for a man than a woman?
Because a woman is already more holy.
A woman already is connected in other ways.
Yeah.
That's why. That's why we recognize that in the physical world, the presence of God is feminine. Torah is a feminine word. Mezuzah is a feminine word. Menorah is a feminine word. Shabbat is a feminine word. In this physical world, because all of you every month have the experience of potential life and then death in your bodies. Men don't have that. Okay. And so we recognize in many ways a woman is more right. So she doesn't need to have this, but it would be good for her to. Be another thing to protect from a windstorm coming by. So that's why we wear this head covering. I thought it was just something to kind of just put out there because it's not, again, it's right there in plain sight. Now, here's your real secret. I'm not wearing I put on my hat because I was rushing out without putting a yarmulke on first, which I wanted to show you. So, one way a yarmulke is kept on is with bobby pins on the outside. You guys have seen that?
Yeah.
One way is the bobby pin is on the inside. Have you guys seen that? Orlando, do we have a yarmulke probably from blue or orange one that has the bobby pin already in it? Thank you, Orlando. Okay, so this is one. I can guess where this is from. I was there. I was at this one. So a lot of them will have a slit cut into the yarmulke, right? So you can go like this. Hair goes here, and then you close it on top. So as an example, I put the bobby pin there, and then I just go boop, and it's on. Okay, that's another way. I did not bring, and I don't think we have any of those, but the other kind. It's a good looking orange. That was probably a pretty fun bar mitzvah. I was there. Fun bar mitzvah, wouldn't you say? You were there too. So it's actually from one of my sons. Okay, we got orange ones for Ben and blue ones for John. So we did their name yet. So that's what they wanted. The other, we don't have what I use. I mean, I have my tallest bag, which is my car. But so what I use is neither. What I use is you can buy it. It's called stick-a-kippa, or you just get Velcro. And you know where the hooks for the Velcro with the sticky side on the back, a little piece of Velcro in each of the four corners, or three, do this around. And then when you stick it on the hair, it sticks there. You can play basketball, you can do anything, and it doesn't go anywhere. And it looks like it's just magically stuck.
How did you have it?
If you have hair. My hair's been thinning out.
my hair is thick, it doesn't work.
My hair when it was thick worked. My hair when it was thin worked. You just don't. You're getting the cheap Velcro. You need better Velcro. It's not the hair issue. It's the Velcro issue. Okay. So the point being that it really does that inspire you to want to cover your head a little bit more? That's really the question. Doesn't matter if it's doesn't matter if it's a sun hat or a ball cap or a yarmulke or a top hat. Not a visor because that's not covering the head, right? That's not covering your head. That's just putting a circle around it. That's not a visor. But any of those things make sense. So hopefully, Ron, that gave you something new. Ron, I was talking about on my way over here. So you prepared. I said, John Wooden says, failure to prepare is preparing to fail. So I hope that kind of had something as a fun.
Very interesting.
It's right there. But whoever asked why? Did you ever wonder why were they wearing yarmulkes? I mean, I always wondered that as a kid. Do you never wondered or it never occurred to you?
I just figured it was a tradition. I don't really think much about it.
Same with wearing black. My earliest memories are sitting in the synagogue with, it must have been like several hundred of us, and all of everybody's in black.
Right.
Black yarmulkes, black suits, black dresses. It's just,
Explain that to me. We're joyous people. White is our color, not black.
well, it's not around by it would not be how it would have been described.
It was influenced deeply by the guilt of Catholicism, not by the joy of Judaism.
Yeah, I was going to say in Christianity, with what I grew up with, women wore head coverings to go to church, scarf, whatever, a hat, Sunday best, the hat. But men had to take their hats off in church.
As a form of respect from Western Anglican Church. And if you go into if you go into cultures that still practice Catholicism the way they were taught 400 or 500 years ago, like indigenous tribes, the women still wear rebosos, these scarves, and the men wear white hats. They wear cowboy hats while they're doing their ceremonies. The white straw. What's the right term for it? You know what I'm talking about. What is it?
Well, the name brand is Stetson, the cowboy hat is that.
Yeah, it's not. But the white straw ones.
Barbershop quartet hat.
You could not that, but that's not what I was thinking. But yeah, any of those could work. So the point is that think about how covering your own head will keep you protected. That's really the thing to think about. How does covering your own head keep you protected? Because a lot of text says that it does. Okay, we're not going to have class next week because I want to think about if we want to. And we've done most of the ritual items that are in plain sight, if that makes sense, that are right there. So now it's okay. What kind of secrets do we want to go into, whether it's Torah portion or what it is? So I got to think about that for the week as well as deal with all this other stuff that we got to deal with. And we have Tu B'Shvat on Sunday, and then we have Purim. March 1st is Purim, and we have our Hamantash and Hurl, which is going to be at a different park this year.
Oh.
Because they're having baseball games. So do you know? I know the park's in Agura. Do you know which one it is, Orlando? Allison knows.
Yeah.
It's not Forest Cove. Is it Shumash? It's Shumash. It's by Agura High School.
Yes.
So just because couldn't get the park, can't get the park. And so any other questions on it?
If one wanted to wear a head covering and not stand out,
That's where we're ball.
well, I wear a ball cap in the exam room, I'm gonna look ridiculous. Is there something smaller or more?
Whatever you want. Yeah, sure, whatever you want.
Okay.
Whatever. I mean, I don't know styles of hats, so
Yeah, neither
Well,
do I.
those wire ones are really pretty. I never saw them until Yom Kippur and Rosh Hashanah at the Canyon Club, and a lot
Yeah,
of women have them. They're really
Yeah.
pretty.
Let's
They
see if I-
almost look like barrettes. And
they are little barrettes. Let me see if I can find.
Beads and all kinds of
picture of
they
one.
were really very pretty.
Okay, that was.
Oh, for some reason I'm not getting
Oh,
reception.
I
I
That's
was
all.
thinking like I'll look online because I don't know. I've never seen them in a store.
I'm not.
I
There we go.
have a lacy one.
But the wired ones, they have like little pearls and
Yeah, they do.
stones.
I'll send you that.
Here.
Would you please?
This gives you an idea. No.
See what they have in
Okay.
Israel.
They're pretty in Israel. So on Ben Yehuda Street in Jerusalem,
Yes.
there's Kippah Man. Kippah Man.
Think about it.
Kippah Man. I got yarmulkes from my boys with golfers on them.
Ooh.
Kippah Man. You name it, he's got it, or he'll get it. You want an orange and purple yarmulke with a blue dancer on it and a couple musical notes? He's got it.
And if he doesn't have it now, he'll have it
It
5
doesn't-
minutes from now.
exactly. He'll find it from somewhere. Kippah Man. It's actually the name of the store. It's so well. No, it's really funny. It's when all these kind of little stores that have all these yarmulkes. You know, they got thousands of yarmulkes, and they know where all of them are. So you say, "I'm looking for this," and he's got to like go searching through. It's like being in a schmata shop in the 19th century. I want this fabric. You know, it's like just throwing all these down. Here it is. It's the wands.
They'll store in their boxes and everywhere, and he just knows exactly.
That's what it is. He just does with yarmulkes. Give him man. So, all right, so we'll take it from there, and God willing, I will see you all. We do not have Shabbat because we're having Sunday night, correct?
Yes.
And we have Shabbat, but we don't have service. 7:30. 7.
On the email.